right, guys, welcome back to Not From Boston. I'm Bennett,
I'm Harry.
and
There's more.
there's more, and also there's not. I think we're just gonna get this is a processing episode. We're just gonna continue processing
There's
what
so much that's
happened.
changed. Like, I feel like, when we discussed this on Sunday, as we suspected, so much has come out from both sides. And
Yeah,
obviously, both sides are doing damage control.
yeah,
So I think there's definitely some damage control. I mean, there's a lot of damage control from the Red Sox. There's definitely some like personal image damage control from like the people around Rafael Devers. Yeah, we're going to definitely be live processing on air here and also talking about the fact that the Red Sox have still been playing pretty decent baseball.
it's. I mean, it's weird. Like they've won their fourth straight series.
Amazing.
Uh,
Against a
but
competitive wild card team.
I'm still like I'm still very skeptical about how
We'll
this team
see.
performs going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they they won it despite their offense being completely absent. I think for the last like series and a half.
Yeah, I think in the
Um,
whole series they had 10 or 11 hits the entire three
yeah,
games.
which is really not good, really not sustainable. And you really feel like you feel Devers' absence in that. You're like this
Yeah, it's
offense
almost
is
like there was a guy that had 30 home run power in the middle of the lineup that's just not there anymore.
yeah. It's I don't know, but like let's just jump right in. I'm pulling
Yeah.
up the outline right now. So yeah, the Sox took 2 out of 3 from the Mariners. Uh, we won game one 2-0. Roman Anthony hit his first career home run in the same place that Devers hit his first career home run.
Unreal. How weird is that?
Yeah, I mean, talk about like it's like the same as when you like freshly break up with somebody and you go to you just like see something like totally random
Yeah.
at like the mall or whatever that just reminds you of them and you're like, man, I didn't need to be reminded.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, oh, great. Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now I'm hurting all over again. Lucas Giolito pitched an absolute gem in game
Shoved.
one.
Shoved.
10 Ks, 6 innings, no runs allowed. It's really when he's pitched like there are games where he's pitched really well, there are games where he's pitched really poorly.
Mm-hmm.
His inconsistency is such a frustration, but it's really
Yeah.
cool to see him when he does show up and shove. Like he is, it's like, oh yeah, you can be really great. It's just we need that to find a way to make that a regular thing.
Yeah. I mean, he has the stuff that he has shown over even the bad starts is good. Like, he's definitely capable of performing well. He's just, I think when his velocity is like even a tick down, he's had a couple starts where it's been a little bit lower, and maybe that's just a fatigue thing. Like his arm's just not quite what it was. He gets knocked around. But
Yeah.
I noticed with his start a few really ballsy pitches. A couple times he had full count on guys and dropped a curve in, which I
Mhm.
love to see that. I
Yeah.
love the ballsiness. So if he can pitch with that attitude more, I think we'll see the best out of him. But again, all we really need for him to do is continue to eat innings, and he put up a phenomenal. I think it was like 7 innings,
Yeah.
1 run, right?
Yeah, it was 6 and no runs. Yeah.
6 and no runs, dude. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So we love to
Yeah.
see
And
that.
yeah.
You go ahead. Yeah,
Of course, the next day we then got our shit rocked,
yeah.
losing 8-0. Um,
Which we'll have the Walker Bueller discussion because it's I don't think that he's again like the word is capable. We have our buzzwords. Obviously, Red Sox front office has their buzzwords, which we'll talk about too. But
yeah, we're
my
not
buzzword
aligned
is
currently.
yeah. I
We're
was
out
gonna
of
say
alignment.
alignment. We're not aligned. Our I do think Bueller is capable of having good innings. I, at this point, want to see him in the pen. I can't believe I'm saying that, but like I just don't feel like he's able to start games consistently. He doesn't. He has one or two good innings and then he blows up. Like it
Yeah.
feels like that's the consistent thing with him.
Yeah, I think at this point, you know, uh the Red Sox haven't really been able to fix him. The
Mm-mm.
Dodgers weren't really able to fix him. I mean, he was good in the postseason, but that was in spite of, having a really rough 2024.
Yeah.
So I think like it's unfortunately I think the problem is him. Um I honestly I wouldn't be surprised by a trade that moves him for nothing,
Yeah.
especially if we're in the like buying mode, which we I guess might might be like if the rumors are
Supposedly, we'll get into the press conference, but supposedly we are. Like that's
yeah,
their whole plan is we're buying, we're going for
yeah.
it.
But buying or
But
selling, I would move. I mean, I would be open to moving Bueller
but
for
who
and
takes him?
knowing that I'm getting nothing in return.
Who like realistically, because this is the thing, I in principle agree with you if the only thing we get in return is they eat the money, like the other team takes the money on, because it's 10 million, right? 1 year's 10 million.
No, it's 21 million that he was.
Yeah, so if some team eats the remainder of whatever that be, 12 mil or whatever's left
Yeah,
on his contract, and then we go out and pick someone up and pay, that's fine. But
yeah.
is it worth, is like at the deadline you kind of have to assess, is it worth just keeping him as a you know, can sweep up a couple innings in the shit games in the bullpen? Like that might be more worth the sort of like Ryan Dempster-ism of 2013. Maybe
Yeah.
just having him do that is more worth getting rid of him, you know?
Well, you gotta ask also, like, we have players. We have, like, Chris Murphy is a guy who is gonna be off the IL this year. I think
Yeah.
he's starting a rehab assignment. Cutter Crawford's throwing a bullpen on Friday. Hauk pitched a rehab assignment last night against Max Scherzer, who was also on a
Yeah.
rehab assignment.
So wild.
Uh, so, like, there are, and like we DFA'd Zach Penrod this week, which I think was a crazy thing to do because he's someone also who has a lot of promise. I
Yeah.
think the Red Sox have enough pieces to justify moving Bueller and not feeling like we're taking a hit.
Yeah.
Honest to God, like I mean, I think it's like the only team I think that he could probably be traded to is a team that is like just collects arms, and that's the Dodgers.
Yeah, well
The
that's
Dodgers just
that's
have a
that is actually the trade that I keep seeing online is people are saying like move him to the Dodgers. He performs well there. He knows the clubhouse. I mean, how many
yeah.
times have we done that? Guys go back and forth between us and LA. It happens so
It's
frequently.
really weird, but I think like in terms of because the Dodgers have a lot of they just have so many arms like in that 40-man roster, and it's like
Yeah.
not all of them are absolutely electric. Like some of them are kind of placeholder guys, and
Even
Bueller.
their but dude, their placeholders have been good. I watched the game last night. Who's the guy? What's his name? The guy who started for them yesterday.
Oh, I
Let me
saw
look it up.
last night when I like got the notification, and I was like, "Who the fuck is?"
I'm so not a
Uh,
Dodgers. Like I actually really like watching the Dodgers. I love watching them, but I'm not a Dodgers
oh,
like day to day.
Sheehan.
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 Like he's a yo-yo guy. He came up last year and was pretty good. Like, but he looked
got
great. I was like,
yeah.
what this guy? Like they have like their fucking fourth string dudes are coming out here shoving, you know?
But also, like, I got that notification, and I was like, "Who the fuck is she?" She.
Yeah, but he was good. I watched that game. I was impressed with him, man. He has good stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a capable or a potential move that could happen. Also, I mean, not to state the obvious, but we don't know what this Kyle Harrison guy, like maybe he'll be good. I think that they've thought he had a lot of promise in San Francisco. I certainly don't think it's unrealistic to hope that he does okay. You know, I think what you said, everyone's like, oh, the option in the AAA. I think they just did that, as you mentioned, to retool his stuff, to see what he has, give him a couple, like, they're not going to just
Yeah.
immediately throw him into the fire. So
The
it's,
issue with that, the issue with that though is like I don't like. There's a lot of stuff that the Red Sox, in terms of like their pitching lab and Bailey's kind of approach, that I really like, but there's also a lot of stuff that we do that I really hate. Like for one thing, I mean, this is true across the organization. Is like the Red Sox are just like so stubborn when it comes to development.
yeah,
Like we saw it with Bayo, is like I think last year and also this year. It's like, oh, his like changeup is fire. Like he throws a great changeup. It's effective against hitters, but it's not part of the plan. So we're just not going to throw it.
yeah,
Or it's or we had that I think last year also with how often he was using the fastball, and it's like, nope, we're just not going to use the fastball, even though the fastball for Bayo really works. And it's like, okay, guys, like I get that you had your idea, but like now that we like are watching how that is playing out, like we need to adapt and kind of move on.
yeah. The Red Sox definitely struggle from sort of all angles. They are struggling with the smartest guy in the room syndrome. Like it feels
Yeah.
like the whole coaching staff, and Cora does it too, and we'll talk about him because there's definitely stuff that needs to be said about him. But like the whole coaching staff, the whole front office suffers from this we're gonna like fucking push all the right buttons and outsmart, and okay, the changeup works, but they're expecting the changeup, so let's make them throw a slider, and the slider sucks, but they're not. It's like,
Yeah.
or you throw the pitch that works.
Like, I mean, this is a kind of a silly example because of this player's stature, but like any guy who gets into the box against Randy Johnson knows that they're getting a fastball or a slider.
Yeah,
They know that.
Chris
And
Sale.
he still gets by them. Like it's still it doesn't really it matters. I mean, if you suck, it matters that they know what's coming. But like if these are good pitchers and you develop them to be quality to throw quality innings, then like it doesn't matter what the batter sees coming if you execute your pitches correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I mean,
Yeah,
even actually to the Randy Johnson point, like I forget who it was who pointed it out. Maybe it was Barry Bonds. Someone pointed out like a year or two ago that Randy Johnson for his whole career was tipping his pitches. His glove was
doesn't
open for fastball and it was closed for slider, and it was
doesn't
like
really
it
matter when those are your pitches.
didn't matter because it was Randy Johnson. It's so
Yep.
like it's just I don't yeah, it's a lot of overthinking on the part
Yeah.
of this organization that it's just like sometimes it is just like I mean not in this case it's not see ball hit ball, it's like throw the ball.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's just, again, it's the smartest guy in the room thing. Like, just play baseball. I think a lot, and I will point out, just as not only a Red Sox fan, but just like a baseball fan and like watching a lot of games that are neutral. Because, when I'm doing non-teaching work or session work, I'll have all the games on in the background. Like if I'm
Yeah.
sending emails or whatever, editing videos, I'll keep everything on. So I watch a lot of baseball. This is not a Red Sox specific problem. Like a lot of front offices struggle with this. They're like, oh, with the analytics, it's like the whole like Kevin Cash pulling out Blake Snell in the 5th inning thing
Yeah.
or 6th inning, whatever. Like it's the same thing. It's like too smart for your own good.
Right.
That's
Or like
sort
when
of
they
just
pulled Barrios in like 2023,
ridiculous.
you know?
Yeah, it's like that's what baseball is for the most part right now. Whereas, I mean, you have the opposite problem where I was with my buddy last night, he's a big Dodgers fan. He hates Dave Roberts. And he was like, he never trusts the numbers. Like he always just like, he leaves guys in too long. And so, it goes both ways, but I don't think this is a Red Sox specific problem. I do think, I mean, I will say this just as it regards to, or as it pertains to Bayo. Bayo has been really good this year.
Yeah.
He's got like a 3.7 ERA, like super solid, a lot of quality starts. I do think, just because this ties back to Walker Buehler and what do we do with Walker Buehler, we have the backup, we have the arms to be successful with a 5-man rotation. We came into the season thinking we're going to have a 6-man rotation. At this point, Buehler is the odd man out because aside from pitching coach discussions about Bayo and what pitches he throws, he's been really, really good. So if you had the option, do you move Buehler to like is your first instinct, let's just get him off the books? Or do you think it would be better to have him in the bullpen?
I mean, I think it's all about who is sitting in the rotation in his place then. Like if it's like, oh, it's between Buehler and Tanner Houck, I'm like, oof, those are both
They're bad. They're both bad. But Tanner
options.
Houck might be able to get back to what he was last year,
we'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
but like or like with him with Cutter, I'm like, okay, well, I'll give Cutter a chance because I haven't seen him pitch
Yeah,
in a
for
year.
sure.
But otherwise, like, yeah, I mean, I think it's all about who takes his place in the rotation that I'm like, yeah, let's see how he goes in the bullpen. I think either way, we're far enough from the trade deadline that I'm like, yeah, there's time to like see what Bueller would do in a role outside of the rotation, and we can still then move him if we want to in August or at the end of July. I mean,
Yeah.
Richard Fitz is still going to come back at some point too. Like
that was the next name I was gonna mention.
have the
He's
arms.
certainly
Yeah.
capable of being good as well.
Yeah, I was actually looking at Sox prospects today, just like out of
Sure.
kind of curiosity. And in terms of like pitching, and in terms of starters, like there is a lot of promise. Not this year, but like early next, like maybe next year or the year after. If like Peyton Tully, who looks like he can be an absolute stud, and then also I'm really high on like Brandon Clark and
Yeah.
Connolly Early. Like those are two guys where I'm like, shit, if like they continue to develop well and we don't trade them and they make it to the bigs, like it's like them with Crochet is like that's 3/5 of our rotation, and that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like Bueller is not a necessity. I just
yeah,
seeing what he was capable of do keep saying that word. Seeing what he was able to do out of the bullpen for the Dodgers in the postseason it is always cool to have a guy that can just come in and pump a couple real hot fastballs for like 1 or 2 innings, Although, again, picked up in the trade a guy who throws 105, so it's not very good, but we'll see what happens with that.
I mean, also, I will say, like, not really in Buehler's defense, but like I think an important thing to note about this game is like, Buehler gave up 8 runs and that's bad. Red Sox only had 2 hits.
2 hits. I was just about to say that.
Just as, if not worse. Like, the offense needs to be more active.
Yeah. Like, who were the hits?
What?
I don't remember who got the hits. Actually, I watched the game.
I think it was. I want to say like it was Anthony and. I want to say it was like one of the big 3.
I thought Campbell had one, like a ground ball up the middle.
Let's see.
Yeah, I wonder. It's a tough game.
Yeah, it was just that was just a rough game.
Yeah, and that is gonna happen. Like, dude, in 2018, we got.
Oh, it was Nate Eaton and Meyer.
Oh yeah, Nate Eaton. That's right. In 2018, we got no hit against Oakland at a point where we were on a roll. Like, it's gonna happen sometimes, but I think the series proved that it was. This isn't going to be something that's just a one-off. Like, I think, like I said, if I do the math in my head, I'm trying to think. I think we had 3 to 5. I think we literally had 10 hits in the series. So whereas like a lot of good offensive teams are getting 10 plus hits in a game.
Yeah. Game 3 we did win 3-1. And Marcelo Meyer and Trevor Story both.
Marcelo with runs. A freaking piss missile, like destroyed home run.
Crochet pitched well. Yep. I really liked how Cora used the bullpen in this case.
I did too.
Putting Chapman in the 8th to face the middle of the order and then letting Weissert close it out. Like, that was a really smart thing to do. using Chapman, they were talking about this on Nesson, but using Chapman basically ensured that Brandon Crawford didn't get in the game, which is great because his base running, his ability to navigate the bases is tricky. Mm-hmm. And he's been clutch for them. So I think the lefty-lefty thing was really, really smart. Yeah.
Dude, how good has Chapman been?
I
hate to say it, but no, shit.
He's throwing incredibly hard, and I mean it's really impressive. He's having a career year at 38. I mean,
also he has perfect mechanics. Like, my buddy's like a college pitcher. He played in college, and we were talking about it last night. And he was like, I was like, dude, he's been in the league 16 years. He's never really gotten injured. He had like a couple little minor, but nothing serious. My buddy's like, well, yeah, he has perfect mechanics. And I went back, was looking at videos. He literally has perfect pitching mechanics. Like, it's not just because he's big and buff and has a crazy arm. Like, his legs, the way he uses his lower body.
Yeah.
Credit where credit's due. Again, I don't like the guy at a personal level, but he is definitely
talented and a bad person.
Listen, he definitely gives. I can say he gives a shit about his career. He definitely cares because the way he treats his body and the way he works out and his mechanics, how good and fine tuned they are, he clearly cares. He's not just some guy that goes up there and throws. He's been unreal. I love to see anytime Crochet pitches. Fortunately, we'll see him against San Francisco on Sunday, which is good.
Not excited for that series at all.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, obviously. I want to talk about Marcelo Meyer, excuse me, because of the big 3 going into the season, and I said this on this podcast, I had the lowest expectations for him. Mm-hmm. Anthony, I think I don't even want to say he's struggling. His numbers are really bad, and he's only got like 3 or 4 hits, but he's hitting the ball. He hits the ball hard a lot. He hits a lot of ground balls at like 110 miles an hour, 105 miles an hour. He's just hitting it right to people.
Yeah.
He's hit a bunch of line drives right to people. That will work itself out. We've seen David Ortiz go through stretches where he barrels the ball and hits it right at people.
Yeah.
Campbell, again, we'll talk about him on this episode for sure. He's going down to AAA. He had a really good month, and then he's kind of been back to what I would have said I would have expected, being a guy that played 2 or 3 years of college baseball and then kind of rapidly went through the majors. Like, Division I baseball, I'm loving the College World Series. By the way, if you haven't been watching, it's so sick. I've been really loving it.
Following it from afar, but
so fun. I was super sad UCLA got knocked out, but it's been really fun. That level D1 ball is like high A ball. Mm-hmm. So playing 3 years of high A ball, and I think not even being a starter the first year, and then kind of racing through the minor leagues.
Yeah.
This was bound to happen. Like, I think that I'm not surprised. I was hoping it wouldn't. I don't think he's going to be down there for long. I think he will figure it out. But my lowest expectations were for Meyer. I always thought of him as like a decent hitter who doesn't hit lefties very well and fields the ball really well, has had some injury problems. I kind of like, I don't want to say my Jeter Downs alarm was going off, but I was a little bit just like, we'll see.
Yeah.
I've been really impressed by him. I know his numbers are kind of above average, but when he hits the ball, he hits the ball. He crushes the ball.
He's also really impressed me at third base.
Bro, he looks excellent.
Played.
He looks great.
He looks comfortable out there to the point where I'm like, well, shit. Like when Bregman comes back, what do we do? I mean,
that whole discussion will get opened up with the Devers stuff. But yeah, I've been really impressed by him. I've been really impressed by his attitude because they told him he wasn't going to hit against lefties and he took it like a champ. And now he has hit against a couple lefties and he's hit them okay.
Yeah.
Even when he strikes out, from what I've seen, he puts up professional at-bats. He fouls a lot of pitches off. He takes good pitches. I do think he's going to be a very solid major league player. I still don't think he's going to be like this. Like, some Red Sox are like, he's going to be a Hall of Fame. Like, I don't see that, but I see him being a very solid 10 to 12-year Major League Baseball player,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's great.
I think that all of that's right. I really think it's, just the circumstance in which these three guys are playing right now, and
it's tough.
And the fact that they're all, rookies and they are being kind of asked to save this team. Like I'm not, I think they're all underperforming, and even like as well as Meyer's doing, I still like offensively he's underperforming.
Yeah,
and
I agree. Yep.
I am like, yeah, that's what happens. Like these are rookies. Like we'll give. 2014 when we started bringing up guys. I think that's when we brought up Mookie and like we sucked. We were in, even after winning the World Series, we were in last place, and like they just need to find themselves. And I think that they will. I'm like I'm not worried. I'm just like frustrated. But not with them. So as of now, the Red Sox are 39-37. They're 8-2 in their last 10. And even though they're in fourth place in the AL East, they do hold the third wild card spot. So
AL East is now suddenly becoming the division we thought it was going to become.
Yeah, I think that, and that's always kind of like, I feel like that happens a lot. I feel in the last couple of years, it's like a slow start in the AL East, and then it's like, okay, they kind of shift into the next gear, and then it's like, this whole division's gonna dominate.
I never believed. Baltimore. Brutal. Did they lose yesterday? Just real quick. Do you know? Because they were up, bro. They were up 8-0, and they're playing the Tampa Bay Rays, and they were up 8-0. And I turned the game back on like 2. They lost. Unbelievable.
They lost. Yeah,
bro. They were up 8-0. I was like, what That's the crazy. Hell? How does that happen?
It's
I was like watching in like the second inning, and then all of a sudden we'll get into that, but
they should fire their manager again.
They just blow it up. I think they're gonna end up trading a lot of guys. So yeah, as far as the AL East goes, I never had a lot of confidence in the AL Central. I think again, we said at the first episode when we made our predictions, I always thought the Tigers were going to be really good. The Guardians, I do think, are a good team. They've been putting the work on Rafael Devers, San Francisco Giants. They're a good team.
The Guardians are only 2 games over 500 right now.
Yeah, but I think they're one of those teams that's going to sneak around and slide in. I don't have a lot of faith in Minnesota. I don't have a lot of faith in Kansas City this year.
Yeah.
I just think that those are, and now Cole Reagans is out for like a month and a half. Like I think they're going to be, the Central is maybe going to field one extra team in the postseason, probably just their division winner. Same as the AL West. I think Texas has kind of not been good. I thought they were going to be great, and I was as of right now, very wrong about that.
Yeah.
Houston is Houston.
Yeah. I'm really curious. I think this trade deadline's going to be interesting no matter what, but I think I'm really curious about what the Tigers are going to do, because I thought they were going to be good. I thought they were, I don't remember if I said they were going to win the division or be in the wild card, but I was I think buying high on the Tigers, and they've exceeded my expectations. And I'm really curious, this is a team that is, they have some veterans, they've spent some money, but I'm wondering, what do you, they're going to be buyers at the deadline. I'm like, who do they pick?
I was thinking about that the other day. They don't really need, if anything, I feel like Javi Baez being good has almost been like a buy for them. Like
Yeah.
he was like totally a write-off, and I don't really know what they need. I don't really think they need a lot of pitching. Their bullpen has been pretty decent from what I've seen. They're hitting the
Yeah.
ball. Like, I mean, there's going to be guys out there. If Milwaukee falls out, we'll be in the mix, I think, for Rhys Hoskins if we stay in it. They'll probably in the mix too, even as a DH, because Torkelson's been pretty solid at first. But I don't really know. I mean, I think they're probably the best team in baseball construction-wise. I think record-wise they might be right now. But they're really fun to watch. I watch every Tigers game I can just because I think they're great, you know?
Yeah. No, they're.
But
I mean, sorry. Go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, long story short, we're going to be, if things proceed as they have been, our pitching continues to do well. This is like the toughest stretch of our season right now. We're in the middle of it. And we're coming out unscathed. I mean, amazingly, we're coming out. We went into Yankees, I'm having a brain fart.
Yankees, Mariners.
Mariners. Yankees, Rays, Yankees, Mariners, which 2 months ago seemed like loss.
Right.
At a sub 500 record, climbing out of a 5-game hole to be 2 games above. So if things proceed as they have been, I do think we could be looking at a buy window, which is sort of unfathomable.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we have to get into the Devers stuff to start this conversation, because that leads into Alex Bregman, which leads into what do we need to pick up. But that's my 2 cents is there's a lot of stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we can just continue to hover, even for the next month, 2 to 3 games above, there are options for us to fill that offensive hole on the market. Rhys Hoskins is one who I mentioned. I don't see the Brewers really being that competitive. He's someone we could make a move for. I want to get the Devers stuff out and talk about it, because then we can talk about free agency. I think they all kind of play into each other. Obviously, there's been a ton of stuff. It's Thursday. It's been 4 days since we've talked. We've texted, but talked on camera. There's been a lot of stuff that's come out. I find myself changing my opinion every fucking 35 minutes. Like, I'm just like, wait, okay, now David Ortiz says it, but Pedro says it, Manny Ramirez says this, and the team said this, but now Devers is playing first base, but he said he wasn't going to play first base. I am like constantly, my brain is like, it's like ADHD on crack, dude. I'm like, you know, I feel so confused. I think where I'm landing right now, and I'll just start with this. I think Craig Breslow has like little to zero people skills. I think that's like the first and foremost thing, because I think not that the who started it really matters. There's a couple ways to look at the who started it thing, but he should have communicated and been firm with Devers at the very beginning. We are bringing in a third baseman. You are not going to play third base anymore.
Yeah.
I think he was concerned that Devers would freak out, which he did, but maybe that's just because of the way it was handled. We don't really know what would have happened. Maybe Devers would still be a little bitch about it, but at least it would have been, okay, wow, Devers is really like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I understand that was handled very, very poorly. I think it's a huge problem that this is apparently, and again, I think there might be some smear campaigning coming from Red Sox media. It's hard to know. From what's been reported, and I'm only going off what's been reported, this is the second year in a row Devers has showed up like 20 plus pounds overweight and out of shape in the offseason. If that's true, I do think that's kind of a problem. I mean,
I think it's a problem if you're Pablo Sandoval and you don't hit. But like, he hits. Like, he's doing the exact thing that we were paying him to do.
This is true. However, his start this year, some can attribute that to the DH thing. Some might be able to attribute it to he wasn't in shape. I don't really know. All I know is we lost quite a few series at the beginning when he wasn't hitting that we shouldn't have lost.
I attribute that because it's not like he noticeably got slimmer.
Yeah, that's true.
I also just like a player's weight is like the last thing I care about. As long like
I usually don't, but I understand the front office being upset about that. I understand, like, listen, I do think that there is some fault. I would say like I'm really 50-50 on like fuck the front office and fuck Devers. Like both of them just like made a mess of this. I do think if you're getting paid $30 million and the team says you got to come in at this weight or at this, like, you got to do it. Like, that's part of your job. And I get them being upset about that. However, that does not warrant the really horrible communication debacle and the Bregman stuff, which is bad. Anyway.
No, I mean, I think Devers, I think Devers was acting petulant because he felt like he was being fucked with by the front office.
Yeah, he's being disrespected.
I think like this does, like, at the end of the day, this doesn't happen. Devers doesn't get traded if the Red Sox just don't fucking lie to him, which is, let's be true, like that's just what it is. The Red Sox lied to him. They lied.
Yeah, they deceived him. I agree. They deceived 100%.
him. So if they just were straight up with their franchise player and not taking him for granted, then I think that we don't end up where we are. So like I don't like how Devers behaved either. I think he should have been more mature. At the same time, like he didn't incite this. Like,
no, that's what I'm saying. That's why I go back to the like who started it. Yeah. When I go back to the who started it thing, it's the front office. They handled this poorly. However, something that I've thought about is there is a thought in my mind that's like they might have not really wanted him around anyway. I know that seems crazy, but again, this wasn't Breslow's contract. I do wonder if he was like, dude, this is too much money to be paying for a guy that's a shitty defender. This is not a defense of Craig Breslow. I don't agree with that take. Yeah. But I'm wondering if part of this was just who gives a shit? If he gets mad, then, whatever. Like, we don't really.
I mean, that to me is like, well, for one thing, I obviously there's no like precedent to support this, but I really do think like if your predecessor signs a player on this team to a like career contract worth 9 figures, like you can't touch that until like you can't touch that if they're like in year, in the first half of that contract. You know what I mean? Like,
bro, they're only in year 2. Yeah.
Year 7 of a 10-year deal. And he's declining and like getting injured and stuff like, yeah, sure. Like we can talk about trade, but like, I think like it's just like kind of in a weird way. Like, I think it's really disrespectful to like,
no, I do too. That's why I'm saying this is not a defense of Breslow. Yeah. I just think, I wonder if going through his head was like, I don't even want this guy. What the fuck?
I'm sure that was his attitude. I'm more confused about why John Henry was like, yeah, I'm cool with you trading him. Like, I understand the saving money part. However, like, if you were so eager to save money, you wouldn't have committed to signing him 2 or 3 years ago. So it's like, I'm so confused about all of it, about all of the logic on the front office side, which is why like I want to talk about. So I didn't know that the Zoom press conference was like publicly available until you texted the link to me.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
And so I watched like I guess like from whenever it was you texted me, and I watched like the rest of it. What were your thoughts watching that press conference? Press conference in air quotes because it was on Zoom, and
I just think that they're just not in alignment, dude. That's all. That's all it was. They weren't in alignment. The Devers, that guy said that. I think they said on Talking Baseball, he said it like 9 or 10 times, like we're not in alignment.
Yeah.
What are my thoughts on that? I mean, it's all of this. The only thought that like floods my mind is how fucking frustrating it is. Mm-hmm. Because regardless of all the stuff we just talked about, if he came in out of shape, if he wasn't good, I still don't think he should be on another team. So I think for me, it's frustrating. Again, I'll say if some of the stuff that we've read is true, I can understand wanting to get him off the team. What I cannot understand is why right now in this exact moment, and why for the load that we got back. Because clearly, this is why I'm saying I wonder. I should have clarified this at the beginning. This is why I'm saying I wonder if they went into the season being like, do we really want this contract? So apparently, the Braves, I think this is Buster Olney's report, and I'll fact check that, but I think That's right.
Yeah, he did report
The
other teams.
So the Braves had reached out and asked about Rafael Devers and were willing to offer Marcell Ozuna as part of the package. I'm Ozuna from the Braves, man. Which would have been a way better return because whatever, again, Ozuna kind of like sort of in line with Chapman. Yeah, exactly. But a productive,
like a lot of domestic abusers on the Red Sox all of a sudden if we get
Although I hate to say it, there's a lot of them in baseball, but
it's not good.
Yeah, it's not good. That's a conversation for another time. But Ozuna is at least a productive major league player. Like that's a 30 home run bat that goes in the lineup, and it's like, okay, cool. Like we're replacing production with production. You get the bad egg out of that's fine.
But also, he's a fucking outfielder.
He is, which is
like that would have made no sense.
But we were cool with Ozuna, so that's the thing. Like that's where this is all going. The Braves did not want to eat like a third of the contract, and they were like, no. So that to me signals you were willing to get. I mean, Ozuna could play DH. You know what I mean? Like he's totally capable of DHing. The Green Monster with Marcell Ozuna.
But that doesn't But the thing is, like, that doesn't fix any of the log jams that we have. Although moving Devers in the first place still hasn't fixed anything.
No, but that's what I mean. You're just if it was really about like this guy's a bad apple, we got to get him out of the clubhouse. You just replace a DH for another good DH. But the fact that they weren't willing to eat like 60 or 70 million on the contract, that to me signals that this was a salary. There's a big part of this that was a salary dump. And so to tie it back to what do I think about the press conference and everything, sure, they weren't in alignment. Devers, I am not going to ever sit here and defend his actions because, yes, he was hurt. They didn't handle it well. He behaved like a child. Devers behaved like a child, especially with the first base thing. The third base thing, I get that he was upset. It's fine. The first base thing to me is kind of unacceptable. Like, that is where it's like, bro, you're making $30 million, play first base. Like, stop being a bitch, play first base. However, why were we okay trading in the middle of a huge run a guy that produces offensively that much for essentially a salary dump? Because let's be real, we're not going out thinking, oh man, Jordan Hicks, thank God we're saved. There's no way.
Yeah.
That's what also, I took from the press conference.
I don't know. My takeaway was, first of all, like I put it on and my mom was like sitting next to me and like kind of was watching over my shoulder. When Craig Breslow came up, my first thought was like, I'm like, why is he in a dungeon?
Yeah, he's weird.
And my mom's immediate thought was she's like, he looks petrified. He looks nervous as fuck.
Of course.
But it's like, I think it goes to the point where it's like, Chaim Bloom, say what you will, Chaim Bloom got along with everybody as far as we know, except for maybe Cora, but he got along with the players. And Breslow clearly, like, he lacks a certain like ability to he lacks a what's it called, a bedside manner.
Yeah, he's not a people person.
I didn't know this until like this week with the reporting that his job when he worked for the Cubs, he was working remotely in Massachusetts. So I'm like, oh, there is actually a disconnect in terms of people skills and managing like a front office.
He's an Ivy League guy, dude. He's like, yeah.
With a lot of what Breslow was saying, I'm like, like this idea that it makes the team better. I'm like, I don't believe you. But also I loved Matt McCarthy. I think he's with the Boston Herald, I think. He asked a great question, which was like, you guys traded Mookie Betts, then you signed Devers, and then traded him. How do we how do the Red Sox fans know you're not going to just do this again with future top prospects? Like, how do we trust you? Which I thought was hilariously just like a very blunt forward question. And Sam Kennedy gave the stupidest, most ass backward answer I think possible, which is like, well, if you look at the last 20 years, our track record, we have 4 trophies, Yeah,
he's like, I'll take our track record above anybody.
Dude, that doesn't fucking matter. We suck now.
Yeah. And we've sucked for 7 years other than one season.
Carabas pointed this out, and I think he's right. You don't see Brian Cashman or Hal Steinbrenner running around saying, well, hey, look, we won 28 World Series for the New York Yankees. No, they're like, we haven't won in 15 fucking years, and that's bad.
Yeah. Also, I want to point out something on that note about Cashman.
Yeah.
The Yankees did not want Alex Verdugo. So this was said on, I think it's also Section 10, or maybe it was John Boy. I don't remember. But Aaron Judge wanted a pure contact on base percentage guy to hit in front of him so that he could drive in runs. Yeah. And they were like, all right, we'll go get Alex Verdugo from the Red Sox. That's fine. Because they treated their star like a star. So I do think that there's a huge disconnect of like, particularly, again, the first base thing and the third base thing are different issues for me. The third base thing, the front office botched because they were like, we're going to creep around and we don't want to hurt his feelings. We're just going to like let him down easy. And it's like, no, actually you made it worse by being a pussy. So you should have just told him, hey dude, you suck at third. Can you please play first base or DH?
But it's also because of third base stuff that that Devers acted like he did on the first base thing. Like I think that's where I'm at is like, it's where I'm more mad at the front office than I am mad at Devers because Devers doesn't do what he did if the front office behaved like adults.
The thing is, I can't get behind that only because two wrongs don't make a right. So we weren't predicting, like what his comments were, what I read behind the scenes, you know, he was not going to play first because they can't commit to him at first long term. There were like a lot of, well, because this, well, because that. What if they asked me to play center field? I'm like, Rafi, nobody is asking you to play center field. Trust me. Like, there's no world.
But at the same time, what Rafi's asking there, where he's like, "Hey, I'll play first, but like, let's commit to me being the first baseman."
Right.
That's not a crazy ask at all. In fact, that's I think very reasonable. And for the Red Sox
I think it's
missed that.
I think it's reasonable, but then why is it fine? And I know why it's fine because he's mad at the front office, but why is it fine with the Giants if he plays a little bit of first, a little bit of DH? Because he doesn't hate the front office. But that also doesn't make it okay. Dude, the front office is like not, you don't interact with, whoa, what the hell?
Well, I mean, and granted, this is what we see. It's not what, we know behind closed doors. But from what we see, the Giants, Buster Posey, like they've made it very clear that they've articulated to Devers what they want to do with him.
Yeah,
on
for
this
sure.
team. Like they're like, oh, what about Bryce Eldridge? That top prospect who's playing first base in AAA. Like, what's the plan when he gets to San Francisco? And Buster's like, we've talked about it. And I'm like, well, that's what a good general manager does. I think that I mean, I watched the press conference with Rafi in San Francisco, like the introductory one. The Giants organization was so ecstatic to have him. They were so. I mean, they were also like, we fucking swindled Boston. Like,
it was a horrible trade for us. It was a bad trade.
Posey was like, I don't really care that it's costing us a lot of money, and I don't really care about like, how he is defensively. Like, this is, his bat is a once in a generation bat. All of the other stuff around it is just like kind of is noise, and it pales in comparison to like the value of the bat. So,
right. But my point with go finish.
No, and so like I think my point there is like, it just what I'm getting from like all of the reporting and from watching the press conferences is that the Giants, unlike the Red Sox, the Giants are really eager to have Rafael Devers on their team. Yes. And they've clearly communicated to Devers their vision for him, which the Red Sox haven't done.
Right. And I agree with all that. And I do hold a lot of blame in the front office. However, what would have been the outcome if Devers had stayed? Would he just like always be behaving this way because we disrespected? Like, what if it was literally like a, hey man, we fucked up, we're really, really sorry? What if it was just a continue?
I think it depends. I mean, I think it depends on what, on a couple of things of like, what happens post Bregman, assuming he opts out. Like, do they put Devers back at third, or do they continue to hold him at DH?
But even that's an unrealistic, because Devers, like, aside from Bregman, Devers sucks at third base. Like, he's not a good third baseman. He never, and I think that's why I bring up that he came in out of shape. Aside from just how he's hitting, that actually does directly impact how you play the field. If you can't move quickly on your feet, if you're like, look at Pablo Sandoval, how much regression he had when he came into the Sox overweight. He couldn't even play his position. So I do think there's a point where I'm like, and I'm just qualifying this for people listening. I'm not like Team Red Sox front office. Like, I'm probably more upset at them for how this was all executed because it was awful. It was bad communication. It's a bad trade. It's bad timing. However, I do also think there has to be a point where it's like, all right, you know what? The fucking GM is the GM. Like, I'm hitting the piss out of the ball. I like my teammates. I like my coach. I'm going to play for the team. Yeah. And I think that was long gone because of the stuff that's coming out of the clubhouse. it definitely feels like the guys in the clubhouse don't really care. It definitely seems to me from what I heard, like, there's 26 guys here, you know?
Yeah, and I think like I'm sure there was frustration in the clubhouse. I'm sure that there's a mixture of emotions, and I think like
Probably.
Duran. I think his attitude is it makes sense. I'm not surprised by it, but I do think like if you ask like the Red Sox to like the players in the clubhouse to, like take a vote, like do you want Devers? Do you want Devers bat in your lineup or not? Like I don't think there are a lot of votes for no. But I think I don't know. Part of it for Devers, I wonder if his frustration is also like that he's just like. I mean, if you think about it, Devers came up. Well, he got signed, I guess, in 2013, right when he was an international. Like,
Yeah. Yes, he was
yeah,
16 when he got signed.
yeah. So he got signed when Ben Charrington was the GM. Talk about a throwback. He came
Seriously.
up when Dave Dombrowski was GM. He got signed to an extension when Chaim Bloom was GM, and he got traded when Craig Breslow was GM. I
Yeah.
think there's a part of me that like I think it's like from Rafi's perspective, Breslow's trying to move all these pieces around and like trying to make him more flexible, and he's like, dude, why do I have to list like what do you do? Like
Right.
it's
You might be
almost like
gone. You might be out of here in
right.
2 years.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like when you're the child of divorce and like your dad has a new girlfriend and you're like, why the fuck do I have to care about what you're gonna be gone soon? Like,
Right.
you're
But
not.
don't you think that don't you think, I get that. My only reason I'm playing devil's advocate here is because when you hear some guy, okay, this is actually a good time to bring in the David Ortiz, Pedro Martinez
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Because David Ortiz obviously has a very different opinion on this than Pedro Martinez. And it makes sense. David Ortiz is employed by the Red Sox.
right. Like, yeah,
Pedro Martinez has actually a pretty bad history with Red Sox ownership because they didn't offer him a big contract in 2004. They lowballed him and he left.
and
So,
Manny has also been very public about like he's on
yes.
Devers' side in this, and the Red Sox.
But
were never
Manny
really
has the
respectful
same
to him.
experience.
Yeah,
So it's guys that, and Papelbon has been very pro Red Sox front. So guys that felt like they were respected by the organization or are still sort of spokespeople for the organization have one opinion, and obviously guys that didn't like the organization have another opinion.
yeah,
I was not surprised. I knew right when this happened, that's what was going to happen. Pedro was going to take one side, Poppy was going to take the other. I think they both have valid points, and I think they both have not valid points.
yeah.
I think with the wait, I literally lost my train. Why did I bring that up? We were saying Devers.
Like the dysfunction of like all the GM turnover.
Okay. So something that Ortiz has alluded to is you don't play for your GM, you play for your team.
Yeah,
And I think that's a really interesting point to take. Again, the first base thing. The third base thing, I'm not even going to talk about because that is entirely front office debauchery that caused that. As far as the first base thing, I think you're right. It's not unreasonable to say, are you going to commit to me at first base? However, the circumstances of, hey, dude, we just lost like our prospective all-star first baseman, maybe for like his career. This is an emergency. Can you please step in and play first base? It's easier because you played on the other corner. It's a very similar position. And this whole thing about Christian Campbell volunteering to play and that pissing off Devers, that to me does make it look like he was so angry with the front office that he just stopped giving a shit about the team.
but also Cora said that wasn't true. Cora said
Oh,
the
he
Sox
did?
approached Campbell, not Campbell. Not the other way
Okay,
around.
I didn't know that. So there you go. I didn't
Cora
know
said
that.
it was them that approached Campbell. Yeah, I mean, I see it. I also just I feel like the Red Sox have been such a dysfunctional organization for such a long time. And I think
Horrible, yeah.
dysfunction breeds dysfunction. I really like this is a chronic problem that the Red Sox have had for a while.
Yeah, I think that there's just this one through line that is a problem, and it's John Henry's ownership.
Right. I think like a lot of the problems we talk about with the Red Sox, I'm like they don't change until someone else buys the Red Sox, and that's just like that's not happening in the foreseeable future.
No, it's going to be the same shit. Yeah.
But I do want to talk about there was this article published on Yahoo Sports by
June Lee. Yeah.
which is a great read. Inside the absolute shit show that led to the Boston Red Sox trade of Rafael Devers.
Yeah, there's a lot of dirt in there. It's crazy.
And it really highlights, I think, where my anger toward the front office comes from. Like,
Yeah,
I think,
I agree.
and because the Red Sox, like, I have to, sorry, just go to the outline to read what I wrote down because it was really said it well. The Red Sox did not think this through. Like, there's no way they could have,
Yeah.
because if they had, they wouldn't keep ending up in all of these fucking jams in their roster. Like, moving Rafael Devers actually fixes nothing, because I mean, obviously now you feel like had to demote Campbell to AAA, and I mean, there
Yeah.
are other reasons for that, but like I still don't agree with that plan necessarily. Abreu gets activated, but that doesn't solve the outfield logjam that exists. Yoshida, I guess, Chorus says they're trying to fast track Yoshida's rehab, but like that's also I think a bad expectation, because you're what expecting Yoshida to hit the ground running after not playing for half the season. Uh, and also just yeah, to go back to it, like Craig Breslow's not a people person,
No.
uh, and like there's this joke about him being an android for a reason, because nothing
Yeah.
about him is authentic on its face. Uh,
Well, he literally
and
used a fucking android to hire somebody, so it's
yeah,
not.
and then you have this article about like how he's insulating himself from the core team of front office folks who have been
Mm-hmm.
here since Theo Epstein, since winning 4 championships, and Breslow's like kind of isolating himself from that. It creates this dysfunction where I'm like, you guys actually have no fucking idea what you're doing. There is no plan.
It
You
definitely
guys are just
doesn't feel like it.
they're just making this shit up as they go. And also I think the fact, you know, I think the fact is like this team, to me, even though we've done well like in this one series post Devers, I feel like this team is still seconds away from falling apart, because like I mean, honestly, if this team is still competitive, it's a miracle, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like in spite of Craig Breslow being like so deeply insecure, which I think this ultimately does boil
It
down
does
to.
boil down to
He
that. Yeah.
traded Devers like because he couldn't handle the fact that like the star player, the face of the franchise, was pushing back on him. David Ortiz pushed back like a ton.
Well, so I was going to finish what I was saying about Ortiz too. The one thing about the Ortiz comments that's interesting, he said, I would reach out to Devers a lot. And this is why, again, my suspicion is that this was something that had been mulled over prior to all the incidents going down of like, is Devers really the guy that we want to be giving $30 million to? Because Ortiz said that he would reach out to him a lot and give him advice on like being the face of the franchise and being a leader, and he just like wouldn't respond. Rafael Devers is not a leader. He doesn't want to be a leader. He has never been a leader. He's quiet. He apparently does not talk to like any of his teammates.
But
In the documentary, he was like
very
not
clear about that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He's not a leader. He doesn't want to be. They asked him like 2 years ago, how does it feel with the extension? He's like, I don't really feel like I'm a leader. So that's where this all gets messy. Is it's like, and again, the through line is John Henry. I even take the blame further than Craig Breslow and Rafael Devers, who again I do think both share quite a bit of blame. I do blame John Henry a lot for this, because he approved the $300-something million contract. I think that contract was purely a response because Mookie walked away and Xander walked away.
100%.
I don't think they ever wanted to give him this money. I think they were cool with like a 5-year, like, let's give him some, he'll hit third in the order. They were like, fuck, we have to, like, the fans will fucking crucify us if we don't do this.
They had no choice. Like,
And so now you have a GM coming in who's like, well, wait, we don't even want this guy anyway. What are we doing? Let's get him out of here. And then we all get pissed because we've all fallen in love with him. He's like, well, he's not a leader. He doesn't want to be a leader. He isn't a leader.
Right.
You're right. He's a guy that hits home runs.
yeah. And like, I think that's entirely right. It's like, oh, like, do we want to give him do we want to give him the contract? It's like, no, you had to, because you fucked yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, if you didn't
fucked
trade
yourself
Mookie
when you
Betts.
traded Mookie, and like, sure, letting Xander go ultimately, I think like
been
was the
a good
right
thing.
move. But in terms of like how the fans feel, it definitely hurt a lot at the time. So like, it's like, yeah, sorry, you made your bed, like you got to lie in it. As far as like the David Ortiz stuff goes, in terms of like David Ortiz is like, oh, I texted him and or I reached out to him and he never reached back out. I understand kind of why that's weird, because like if you're a baseball player and like David Ortiz is like, hey, I want to help you out, like you should kind of be leaping at that opportunity. However, And I think this is a big part of it is like I think Devers thought he was getting that contract because they thought he was worth that money and time because of how good a player he was. And
Yeah.
he didn't think that that came with strings attached of like being a leader, being the
Being
face
a
of the
leader.
franchise.
Yeah.
Devers has always been compared to David Ortiz ever since he came up. Like
Yeah.
it's always been David Ortiz Jr. He came up the year after Ortiz retired. There's
Hmm.
always been that comparison. And then there's this expectation once he signs the contract that all of a sudden he has to be this leader. Dave Ortiz is reaching out to him, like try and give him advice and all of this stuff. And I think from Devers' perspective, and maybe it's just like, hey, I don't like, no offense, David, but I don't want to be you. Like
Yeah.
I respect you as a ball player, but like I don't want your advice.
Yeah.
I don't want the perception that I'm a mini you. I don't like I signed the contract because I wanted the money. I didn't sign the contract to just be David Ortiz. And
Right.
I get that entirely, and I
I do too.
respect that. And even if like I think like maybe Rafi didn't handle that,
Yeah, like ghosting
surely,
someone is not the way to do it. There could be a simple like, "Hey man, I really appreciate you, but like I got my own thing going on." That's cool. I'd be like, "Cool."
yeah. But I understand that, and I think that's where a lot of this comes from. Is like Devers he just wanted to hit balls. He just wants to play baseball,
That's what this boils down to,
and
and
like
that ties into the first base thing. He
and that's what
is
he's going to
playing
get to
for
do in
himself.
San Francisco. No one's expecting him in San
Yeah.
Francisco to lead the team. No one. And
We'll see. I mean, what'll be interesting is if this flares up again. You know what I mean? If something happens in the next couple years, it'll be like, okay.
Yeah,
Because I think Devers plays for himself, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I will never. It's impossible to say now, like Devers, whether or not he's a good or bad teammate is a different discussion. Being a team player, Devers is not. I don't think, and that's fine. You don't have to be. Like, there's no. But it's impossible to say he's a team player. I don't think there's any world in which that's possible at this point, unless he proves otherwise. However, I agree with you completely. Being not a team player doesn't mean you can't be a great baseball player and a great teammate. It's just, hey man, I'm going out there to hit home runs, like you said. I'm going out there to fucking hit bombs, and sick, if we get to the playoffs and we win, I definitely want to win. And if we don't, that sucks. But like, I'm not the guy. Don't make me the guy, you know?
I mean, so, honestly, given how good the Giants are this year, like I think there's near certainty that we see Rafi Devers in the playoffs this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's actually a pretty decent chance, like seeing Devers hold up a World Series trophy at the end of the year in a uniform that's not the Red Sox.
It's a possibility.
That's gonna sting like a motherfucker.
Yeah, it definitely hurts. I mean, this is the main thing. It's emotional. And I think part of the reason why I'm still mad at Devers is maybe there's a part of me that's like, dude, you could have just sucked it up and this never would have happened. But also, like, I don't fuck with like any of these front office guys. I really, where I kind of, just to put finality on this, have ended through this discussion is like this whole John Henry, like, let's get the penny pinchers in and let's do the money ball thing and get these like super smart Ivy League guys. Stop doing that. It doesn't work. Stop. It doesn't, and I know we were saying, oh, Heim, I'm never going to say anything bad about Heim traded Mookie Betts. I know that was probably at John Henry's.
But here's the difference: is Heim Bloom took that job knowing going in that
he was going to have to do that.
Was that he was going to trade Mookie Betts. That's not the case with Breslow.
Right.
In fact, I would assume that Breslow took this to Henry, instead of it being the other way around of like, hey, I want to trade Devers.
Unless they had a flight back from Kansas City and were like, we got to get this guy out of here. We don't know what happened in that conversation. Maybe Devers was like a fucking asshole and they were like, we got to get this guy out. But we'll never know.
But but it's like, I think it's a totally different thing. I think also it's like, because of the damage that the Mookie Betts trade did to the fan base and to this franchise, this trade does more damage because now you just can't. I mean, no one was really believing anything the Red Sox were saying.
No.
Ever since.
And I feel like they've gaslit us.
But we were like, the trust was rebuilding. Like, this team was starting to click. We thought we understood, like, Devers is here forever. We have the big three coming up. Like, we thought that there was like a cohesive vision. And then this happens and it's like, oh, it's 2020 all over again, which makes it worse because you clearly didn't learn any of the lessons from 2020 about trading your franchise player. And you've revealed that the front office, like the front office, have no plan, really, no cohesive vision. Because if you did, you wouldn't remove the like centerpiece of that organization.
Yeah,
It's just
it's just
a
it's a
shit show.
disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Um,
is a shit show. I mean, the whole thing is a shit show, and I do think the principal problem is John Henry. It's not even. It goes deeper than Craig Breslow. It goes deeper than Rafael Devers. It goes deeper than the stuff that June Lee is talking about. It's the problem is John Henry. John, if you're the owner of a fucking baseball team, you better have some kind of clue of what's going on. And I know Breslow is like this weird isolated guy, and he's sort of like doing these weird AI hiring shit, and that's super strange. I don't really like him. He'll probably get canned at some point, but when he gets canned, they're going to bring in the next guy that's just like him. That's the problem.
no one's gonna want this job when Breslow's
No,
gone because no one wanted it beforehand. I really do think I'm like that's when Alex Cora gets that job.
maybe. I mean,
Because
what
I
do you
think
think of?
he's wanted to be a front office guy. Like that's been reported before that he's interested in a front office job.
What do you think of Cora through all of this? Because he's been getting a lot of criticism.
I think Cora. I think when it came to like, I mean, yeah, I think when it came to the third base stuff, he's part of the problem. He fucked up too by
Yep.
not communicating to his player. I think with the first base stuff, he did it all. He did everything right this time. He was like, "I'm not talking to Devers about first base. Devers is not playing first base. I know nothing about that." Oh, Breslow went and talked to him. I know. I didn't have nothing to do with that. I think that makes sense. I think like, I mean, I imagine that if I'm Alex Cora right now, I am like fucking pissed because you just took away my best bat when we just barely made it over
But
500.
do you think he knew that was coming? Do you think they communicated that with him that that was coming? I don't
I
know. I genuinely am asking. I know.
I lean on no because of the
Yeah.
Red Sox track record of being just
Yeah,
piss
that's
poor
where
at
I'm at too.
communicating. I also don't think Cora like the fact that like Devers found out like getting on like he had to get off the plane. Like everybody was on the plane
Yeah, it was
when
a bit of a show. Like he's
so like
gone.
I
Yeah.
don't think Cora lets them get to the airplane because I think that's
Right.
like maybe it's careless, but I think it's kind of sadistic.
That's what I mean. It's a show.
Like,
It's like
and I don't think that's how Cora operates. So I think, I mean, and also I think people forget like Cora's been there forever and he's tight with Sam Kennedy and Henry and all of that. But like a manager is not like he a manager is more often than not receiving news from the GM after the fact. They're not
right.
always their input is asked for, but they're not in on the decision making. And I don't think Cora was in on this because I imagine, and if he was, I imagine that he was saying you're out of your mind
Yeah.
to trade this bat. Regardless of all the interpersonal stuff, it's just like, hey, he's trying to manage. He's trying to I mean, you can see it every day. Like Cora is trying to manage this team, the fuck out of this team, because he's like, we
Yeah.
need to win. I'm going to do whatever it takes to win as a manager.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why are you undermining me like this by doing that?
Yeah, because also the big criticism that I've gotten, that I've heard of Cora is like he should have been a liaison between Devers and the front office, but like that's not his job. Like the manager's job isn't to like you're what's the Hermione like? I'm not an owl. Like I get it. That is like I guess it is sort of a part of the job in the sense that like you got to keep your guys in the clubhouse happy, but like
But
is
the front
his
office,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was thinking, do you think it's part of his job to like, oh well, hey, we should keep him to the front office and then Devers, it's going to be fine if they, but we got to do this. It's like, bro, his job is to put the best guys out on the field and make them win games, and he just kind of has to go with whatever the front office
Yeah.
is doing.
I think it's like Alex Cora can liaise with Rafael Devers and the front office all day long if he wants. The front office is going to do what
Yeah,
they
that's what I
want to
mean.
do. Like
It has
it's
nothing to
not-
do with that.
Yeah, it's I really don't think about Cora as being involved
Yeah,
in this.
I think
at
it's an
all.
unfair criticism. I think it's an unfair criticism to blame this on him, but a lot of
And
people are.
So I do, but I do want to say, like, I want to. We're talking about like how the root of the problem ultimately is John Henry and ownership, and I agree with that. However, I do think, like in this instance, like the thing that where I disconnect where I get confused is I'm like, okay, you trade Devers for a sal like as a sal like, and part of it's a salary dump. You don't have to have the
Mm-hmm.
250 million on the books anymore. But you signed Alex Bregman. You traded for Garrett Crochet.
Mm-hmm.
You made it clear. You posted that cool fucking photo of you with a cigar. Like you made it clear that like you were making the moves to win, and that involved spending money and like sending us over the luxury
Right.
tax. So like this is incompatible with that. I
Right.
think I think ultimately like I think what happened here is Breslow said to John Henry, he was like, "Hey, I want to trade Devers." Henry's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy." And Breslow says, "No, because like I won't get a great return from the Giants, but the Giants will eat the entirety of the salary and like think of what it can do with this money or
Yes.
save it." And Henry's like, "Huh,
Not
okay."
bad. Yeah.
But I don't, and so in for that reason, I'm like, this is way more. This happened. This is Breslow in like this is Breslow is the problem to me right
Mm-hmm.
now. I think
But that is a
like
John Henry problem still because he hired him. You know what I'm saying? Like it
right,
always goes up to the top. Like it's like, if I hire a vocal coach under me and he gives someone a shitty lesson and they get mad, it's the coach's fault, but it's also my fault. Like I shouldn't have hired this person, you know?
yeah, yeah. I mean
Um,
that is also true, but I just like I don't think. I guess what I'm trying to say is, at the top of the season, John Henry was never gonna, I think, ever would have considered trading Devers. I think this only
yeah,
came up
because of the
afterwards. I
issues that
think I
arose.
imagine that his MO is still to win, and that like Breslow probably sold him on some vision of like what we can do to win games and make it to the playoffs still without Devers.
Right.
But I just like that's the thing is like trading Rafael Devers feels so incompatible with everything John Henry has did this offseason. And so I just like I really at the end of the day, I think it's like Craig Breslow lost a dick measuring contest and
And he's like, get him out
he
of here. Yeah.
yeah. I
Let
like
me,
and I
go ahead, finish. Sorry. I keep
no
cutting you off
that
by accident.
combined with the reporting about like the dysfunction of the front office, it just screams to me that like Craig Breslow, and the people skills, like it just screams to me like Craig Breslow does not know how to manage an office of people. He
Mm-hmm.
does not know how to like uh to run a baseball organization, and he's letting his emotions get in the way of his ability to do the job, and he should go.
Yeah. I mean, look, I wouldn't be mad if he walked out
Yeah.
or if he got fired. Like he hasn't been, I don't know. What I'll qualify what I said about the salary dump with is when I say salary dump, I don't mean great, we just saved 250 million. What I mean is again the point of I wonder how much discussion, and maybe it's not a Henry thing, but I wonder if there was a discussion beforehand of like, is this really who we want to have all this money? Because
Mhm.
like we did this because you guys were pissed at you about Mookie Betts and Xander Bogaerts. So is this really what you want? Because if we can get rid of him, he doesn't want to play third. He's being, he's acting
Yeah.
like a child. We can get rid of him. It's a salary dump, not in a we're not going to use this money way. In a like we're just going to redo everything. We're going to start over here.
Yeah. I still don't think they're going to use the money for anything,
So
honestly.
that was what I was going to say. This is my final piece. Also, sorry I keep cutting you off by accident. There's like a very weird delay. So like
No,
it
you're
seems
good.
like you're done, and then I keep like starting. Okay. If that 250 some million dollars is used this year or early in the offseason for someone really good, if they decide, hey, Breggs, we're going to give you, let's cut the old contract up and give you 6 more years and we'll give you a big deal, which I probably don't think will happen. But if it does, or if they go out and say, hey, Kyle Schwarber, we'll give you 4 years and, 60 mil, and we'll go find a really good starting pitcher. Or if they go in for Paul Skeens, try to make a trade for him and extend him. Like, there's a lot of ways this can go. I will look back with a lot more fondness on this and just be like, all right, you know what? It sucks. We loved Raffy when he was a Red Sox. There were issues there. It's probably, it is definitely started by the front office, but it is what it is. Bygones are bygones. We've spent the money and we're fielding a competitive team. If they go out and get Kike Hernandez, Alex Verdugo, Sandy Alcantara, and try to pass that off like it's he's been terrible this year. If they do that bullshit, then it's really at the point as fans where we're like, we can't trust anything you guys say like at all. I'm already kind of there, but like this is a hugely important. There's 4 months left of the season, July, August, September, October. Yeah, there's like 4 months left of the season. This is a hugely important 8 to 9 month period for the Red Sox. Yeah. If they fuck this up and they don't use their money wisely, or they try to sell us on some, we got the next big prospect. Like if they do that, this is almost worse than the Betts trade. If they go in and get someone or make a trade and extend, like seriously, I mean, if they go trade for Paul Skeens and extend him or use the money for something like that, we can be like, all right, they had some kind of plan. There was something going on,
Yeah. If they do that, great. I have
very little faith. Yeah, I have very little faith that will happen.
That's what they're going to do. I fully think that they're going to be like, oh yeah, we're content with Toro and Gonzalez being our like platoon, our platoon corner infielders for the rest of the season. We don't feel the need to add anybody there. We think Tanner Houck is going to come back feeling great from, the injured list. He'll pitch. Like, I have no faith. I don't even think, like, extending Bregman would not count to me toward the, like, using that excess money that they've now saved, because they just should
do it anyway.
Should be doing that anyway. And they could have done that when Devers was still on the team anyway. Like, that's
true.
Not...
I have a feeling they're gonna go like in the offseason, guys, we signed Sandy Alcantara and we gave him $150 million. He's so good. He won a Cy Young like 4 years ago. Yeah, he's had a couple Tommy Johns, but he's great. And look, we traded for J.P. Crawford. J.P. Crawford's like, dude, he hit 270 one time. He's really good. Guys, this is the team. Yeah. Remember when Bloom told Kike like 2 years ago, he's like, trust me, if you come back, like we're going to be a lot better next year. It's like, I don't believe a word you guys say. I don't believe anything you say. Like, do you even care? Anyway.
Yeah, I feel like there's something about the Breslow era where I feel like they've been so much more disingenuous, and frankly, they've lied more. I feel like they've been lying more.
Yeah, full throttle.
Than when it was Bloom.
I think Bloom just kind of sucked at his job except for getting young talent in. That was like the only thing he was really good at. He was very good at evaluating, except for Jeter Downs, but he was very good at evaluating young talent. Like, dude, the Vasquez trade
was good.
We look back, I mean, that was another moment where I remember talking to you about it, like, I'm so betrayed. How could they do this? So again, just to point, we don't know what's going to happen from this. Maybe Devers will go on and suck. Probably not, but maybe, who knows what's going to happen.
I mean, he's going to be working with Barry Bonds now, so.
Yeah, I mean, he's also hitting in a less
hitter-friendly park. He's going to show up and his head's going to be like a melon.
Yeah, he's going to be like, hey, I'm taking a trip to the Dominican in the offseason. I'll be back, But anyway, we don't know what's going to happen. Quick. Yeah.
Total tangent. I forget. Have you watched Severance?
No.
Oh, my God. There's a guy in Severance who, like, they should cast him as Barry Bonds in a Barry Bonds movie.
Okay. I'll check it out.
Yeah. I forget what his name is. I gotta look it up.
Yeah, send him to me.
Severance. Tremel Tillman.
Let's see.
He was also in the new Mission Impossible, which I know you are not going to see, but he was in that.
Oh, wow. This guy does look like Barry Bonds. He has the mustache, too. Crazy.
He's also a great actor. He's a fantastic actor. But yeah, that's a thought that I had.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's just close it down with this, because I do want to very quickly talk about Masa Yoshida, because he'll probably slide in as a DH at some point now, because there's like no reason for him to throw, I guess. I don't really know what's going on with him. That's another area in which it feels like we've been lied to a little bit. Like,
1,000%.
What is going on with him? What's the plan? Were they trying to trade him and now they're not going to? Which, look, I get it. A front office's job is not to be 100% transparent with the fans, but like it feels like it's the opposite of that, where like we are just completely guessing. Like we're like, what is happening here?
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, with Yoshida, the reality is just like, we're not going to be able to move him.
No, he's going to be. There's no way.
At this point, though, it's like this was year 3 of his deal, right?
He's got 2 more. Yep.
Yeah, he's got 2 more years. That's not a long time. I think it's like he's our DH. unless it's a lefty starting pitcher. Like,
Yeah,
and then it's like him and Ref Snyder DH. I think honestly, I think that's actually pretty solid. It doesn't like fully
yeah,
replicate Devers' production, but like they're both guys who can
it's still
have
good.
like Yoshida at his best can have a 700 OP or I mean an 800 OPS. So like
Yeah, dude, and Ref Snyder crushes lefties. Like
yeah,
he looks like Devers when he hits against lefties. So
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I
it's
really do
it's
think I was looking ahead. Like I was just like, all right, well, I'm going to start thinking about 2026. like,
mm,
um, and I think um, as soon as the password, as soon as
Yo Stinson.
thank you, Yostinson Garcia comes up, and like I assume at that point, like you have to take Rafaela out of the starting lineup.
Yeah,
You have an outfield of Roman Anthony, Willie Abreu, and Garcia.
it's crazy.
Like they're young and like we'll see how Garcia translates to the major leagues, but like on paper, that's a really potent outfield. And then I don't know. I'm just like I'm starting to look at like what the 2026 team could be, assuming we don't spend any money, which I don't think we will. I'm like, actually,
That is the one
we
area in
have
which
a lot of
Bloom has
young
done his
talent
job.
that is still
Yes.
coming.
Yeah.
Blaze Jordan is another guy
Bro,
who I'm
that
like,
guy smashes. Yeah, he's sick.
I'm very excited for him. He can play first too. I'm like, let's
Yep.
make that guy our everyday first baseman because also Breslow did kind of let slip that Casas is not in the
We knew
picture
that. Nah,
for
we knew
first
that.
base. I'm like, yeah, duh.
I mean, that's not even. He doesn't even need to let that slip. We all know. I want to very quickly also discuss just the last couple minutes here. Campbell going to AAA.
I don't like it.
It doesn't make any sense to me because that actually it's sort of a loop back around to the Devers stuff. If there's anything that the front office is the most guilty of, it's the treatment of Christian Campbell, I think.
Yeah.
Because they're like, hey, man, can you play second? Can you play first base? He's actually the guy. Like, Devers is like, well, what if they make me play center? Like, he's actually the guy they're doing that to. It's not you. It's him, you know?
Maybe it was just Devers was like, hey, I see what you're doing to Christian Campbell.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I feel bad for the guy learning. And there is a big third to first is not a big. It's hard to learn positions in the major leagues. I totally get that. But if there's one position change to make, that's the one that makes the most sense. Third to first. It's very similar. Second base to center field to first base. There's no similarity between any of those positions. First and second are nothing alike. Center field and first are nothing alike. So I do think it's got to be hard to hit when you're trying to learn. And he's not been that good at second either, so I don't really think he knows his position.
Yeah. He's just trying to adjust to major league pitching at the same time. Like,
Yep.
I mean, I think it was like Ken Rosenthal who said it or something. Like someone said what prospects need is consistency and stability.
Yeah.
And they're giving
This is
Campbell
not doing that.
none of that. It's like, yeah, him going to AAA, it's like, oh, he needs to go back and like retool. I'm like, yeah, because you fucked him up.
Yeah, I don't like it. Also, I really don't understand how he goes down and Hammy stays. That doesn't seem to make a ton of sense to me, but
I guess Hamilton's a better fielder, but that's kind of it. To me, I'm like, hey, it's like, also, it's just like, I don't think, and part of this was the problem. Like, the Campbell contract is a good deal. Like, it's a very team friendly deal. It's not very expensive. I think it was pretty premature to give it to him early in the season.
Yeah, he had a good month and they gave him a ton of money.
But I think like once you give him that deal, it's like you can't put him back in AAA. Like, sorry, you guys like committed to him being a major leaguer.
Yeah, it does. This also feels like some fuckery from the front office a little bit. This is the thing that made me, as the stuff has come out about Devers over the week, like I said, I've yo-yoed so many times. Fuck Devers, fuck the front office, fuck Devers, fuck Devers. Like, I keep going back and forth. This is one of the nails in the coffin of like, I don't think Breslow is very good at his job because that to me was like, damn, Campbell might feel some kind of way about that too now. You might be messing with players' heads like a lot, and it's not good. That's not that's bad.
For sure. I think the only things that Breslow has done right, really, because I mean the sale trade sucks, are trading for Crochet and signing Bregman. And I think everything else has kind of been mid or bad.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
Um.
we have. Go ahead.
No. No. You.
See, we got series to look forward to. We'll see Devers this weekend, and then we'll probably never see him again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to the Angels games next week. Obviously,
Cool.
the Angels have been kind of hot. They just beat the Yankees. I think they're
Yeah.
playing right now. Actually, just check that out. So it is still. I am not ready to turn the page to next year yet. The Yankees won today. I'm not ready to turn the page on this season. I actually still think we can squeeze a wild card. I don't think it's going to be like the explosive offensive team that we thought. I do think we're capable. So I'm going to hold out hope. Again, we're finishing up a big couple weeks here. I think, if we get to the end of the road trip and we're looking at 3-4 games above, then it's like, all right, Devers era is over. Move on. Do you want a quick Rose and Thorn?
Let's do it.
I don't even know. I didn't have time to think about this shit because I was so angry. My Thorn is the New York Yankees because they've been playing terrible baseball, and I kind of enjoy. I kind of enjoy it, but it's just like it's so bad. Like they've been shut out. They were shut out 5 games in a row, and they lost 6 in a row.
20 or 30 some innings consecutively.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, that's
good.
crazy. So not good at all. I don't have a Rose yet. You go. I'll think of it.
Yeah, I think Rose I'll give to Buster Posey because he's acting like what you want a GM to act like. Then that whole organization is acting the way you want an organization that's competing to win. That's how you want them to act. So I think it's great. I think he's I love his enthusiasm. It's very exciting for him, for the city, for the fans of the Giants, and I'm very jealous of Giants fans. I think it's an exciting time to root for that team.
Sure.
Thorn, I'm actually going to give to the Los Angeles Dodgers to stay in the NL West.
Okay.
They announced today that they're doing more stuff to support immigrants who are being persecuted by ICE, but it comes after a wave of controversies, and I think they're just like it's too little, too late.
They're saving face.
They should have done better. I think the fact that they're like banning that singer Neza.
Dude, I know her. We're friends.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I did a YouTube video with her last year. I met her. I have to message her and be like, dude, that was awesome. Like you balled out.
Fucked up how they reacted to what
Horrible.
she's doing, and I think she didn't do anything wrong.
Nope.
Dave Roberts' comments were tone deaf. I'm not educated enough on the issue. I'm like, I'm sorry, do you not read the fucking news? Like,
yeah, I'm not with that.
PK, great. He's fine. He was very vocal about about everything and saying that, he loves the sports LA. And I just think the Dodgers, I think the importance of the Dodgers to the Hispanic community, and then also what's happening with ICE, it's like, how can you be, as the Dodgers, how can you not immediately know what to do in this situation? So, Thorn for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree completely. Yeah, the Neza thing, I have to message her, but I met her last year. I sang on this YouTube video, which was problematic for a myriad other reasons. There was a celebrity guest judge that we didn't know about. They didn't tell us who it was for this video, and it ended up being somebody who's very problematic. So I had no idea. I am not associated with that shit. If I was able to walk out, I would have walked out, but it was too late. So anyway, but she was really lovely. I met her and we followed each other on Instagram, and she was really, really nice, really good singer. And I saw that was her. I have to reach out and just, it was really ballsy what she did. And it was impressive. Dodgers, really impressive. What was the key case stuff I saw? He was supporting immigrants, right?
Yeah, he posted about how he's not from LA, but he feels adopted by the city, and he.
Yeah, cool. I was the way you said it, I was wait, did he say something I would have been shocked.
PK's cool.
Yeah. My Rose is going to go to Gage Wood, the college pitcher who threw a no-hitter and struck out 19 hitters.
That kid's getting drafted.
That's crazy. In the College World Series. That's pretty unbelievable. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens, man. I mean, the Devers era is over. It's time to turn the page. I mean, I think everybody just kind of comes out losing in this, or winning, however you want to look at it. But
as he came out winning,
as Red Sox fans, it definitely feels like we came out losing for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Tough loss. All right, guys. Remember to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to the Substack. to get this. It's important to note, actually, I don't think we've talked about this before. Spotify and Apple Podcast were audio only, but this video, which we're recording, like while we record this podcast, that's available on Substack. So subscribe to the Substack at notfromboston.substack.com. Check us out on Instagram
IG,
and
TikTok, all that stuff.
And we will see you next week.
See ya.
Peace.